Hi, intrepid viewers. How good is it? Yet more indictments coming down the pike. Wow. And thank you. People have contacted me. I did say week 1 of August, something to make us celebrate. And we're actually only in the first day. And I've got 2 more words to say about that. Fani Willis. So Jack Smith's doing his job. She's finished her investigation. So let's go, America. Isn't it fabulous? Now, before I get into the million things today, I'll have to triage them. So many things have happened. So while I'm shuffling here, I loved your comments during the week. There were a lot of clues as to how we all think about Ivanka and her new perfume. Some said it should be called complicit, and others thought it should be called sedition. I love all those suggestions. That's great. Okay, but on to deeper things. Let's have a look, first of all, at Molly Michael, her name is. Now, we all know the Yeti has never sent an email in his life. He had to have administrative support. And his person through all the critical end of 2020 stuff was, what's her name, Molly Michael. Okay, now we know how the Yeti works. He would have chosen her because she had nice legs or some other criterion. But here he is now at her mercy, in a way. Look at what Cassidy Hutchinson had to say. And let's have a look straight off the bat. Molly Michaels. So she's been a fly on the wall, and she actually had to send the emails around through those who are now accused of inciting an insurrection, obstructing justice, conspiracy to defraud the United States. And I think as a young thing, she really doesn't fancy 87 years jail. And I don't think she'll hesitate to do the right thing. But let's have a look what the cards have to say about Molly Michael. Now, all right, for her, I think with this 3 here of wands, see the ships sailing around, I think it would have been the same for Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember, at first, Trump's people always said to Cassidy, we'll get you a lawyer, we'll pay for it, have our lawyer. Okay. And it wasn't until she got a real lawyer that she changed. And I think it's like this. I think she's got the vultures circling around her, and an older woman, a mature woman. Why am I thinking Nancy Pelosi? She's in the other camp. But I wouldn't be surprised. Nancy knows which side her bread is buttered. But definitely a mature woman who is giving her advice. And the advice is, I'm sorry, love, but you have to skewer the crown. And she's probably, not that old, not that experienced, but she's having to do a very big thing here. She's certainly, with these cards, she's certainly talking. This isn't easy for her. These are normally the swords of heartache, heartbreak. But I think it's a bit different. It's now that real life has hit. I think she's experiencing a heartache for even the part she played, or she's pining for the America she thought she was working for. This is affecting her very deeply, and it's not surprising. But don't worry, Molly, because the sun is shining. And look, everyone goes for the book deal or the film down the track. That's if the film industry is back on track in the next 5 years. She will be all right. Now, on to Georgia. Georgia on my mind. Okay, Fani Willis has announced she's finished 2.5 years of investigations. These are so exhausting. Well, they're exhausting for us secondhand, aren't they, intrepid viewers, really? So I think we will see this very, very soon. She said she's going to announce it. What I did see during the week, the RICO laws in Georgia are actually much looser than the federal RICO laws. In other words, they can drill in further and deeper than you can in a normal federal case. So, Fani Willis's case in Georgia. Let's have a look. Someone's going to walk away at the end of this. Let's break it down. Now, this card, I think, is hugely symbolic here. Yes, it's the Judgment card. But for those learning tarot, because it's right at the end of the major arcana cycle, it's about us as a collective. I don't mean me as an Australian being an American, I mean as global citizens. But for the US, I think this case in Georgia, maybe even more than the Jack Smith stuff, I think is going to wake people up, and not a minute too soon. Let me digress. In the comments this week, there was an exchange of things. If we had to come up with a word that's the opposite of woke, what would it be? Some people suggested a sleeper, a snorer. My personal preference is being comatose. If you're not woke, you're comatose, but anyway. I think this is going to have an effect of waking up people, not just in Georgia, but the surrounds. This case, local is where most people operate, right? So it does affect actual Georgian voters, but also other states in that region. People can make a connection with that. I mean, classified documents about Iran and stuff is very abstract for most people, particularly if they're struggling to pay the power bill, right? But this is more down home, and I think it'll have a wider impact. People are still confused. I don't know what's so confusing, really. In a way, this is people electing to be confused. Right? What actually happened was not that mystifying. Those women who were bulldozed and bullied and so forth. And then there was an $8 million or a $10 million inquiry, which found no wrongdoing. On and on it goes. But people think, oh, well, I don't really know yet. I'm sorry. There's no cure for stupid. Look, you just got to go with it. Okay, so people are still confused. But this is a watershed, and my vibe on this is absolutely massive in terms of what it represents, how it's handled, and the big one, how the GOP respond to it. Short-term celebration, at least it's a celebration, at least things are moving. I mean, intrepid viewers, we're all getting older waiting for this to unfold. Are they trying to wait until we all shuffle off the mortal coil? And get on with it, guys. Put your skates on. We need a few more of these. But this is the card that has me a bit foxed. I have to think about this. I might pull a clarifier. Who is walking away from Georgia? Who is walking away here? Is it Fani Willis saying my job is done? Is it the people of Georgia? We don't want to know. We don't want to know. We just want our guns back, and we think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a good representative. I don't know. Who is it? Eight of Cups. Who is it? I'm kind of interested in this. Now, we have the Devil, the swords in the back, followed by this card. I see these two as related to each other. I think people are going to walk away from the crap. Okay? This is the voters of Georgia with swords in their back. As far as I'm concerned, this is my take on it. Now, so far they've been chained to the devil. They didn't have to be, but they wanted to say, okay, we will deal with the GOP, even though after voting GOP for generations, we are one of the poorest states, worst conditions, not as bad as some of the other southern states. Even though our schools are run down, even though our healthcare system sucks, even though there's been no employment in my family for 3 generations, we're tied to the GOP because they share our values. Awesome. I think they're getting a bit jack of it. And they might be moving to affiliate, maybe with some other states. Do you remember the Tennessee 3? I think there's got to be a Georgia equivalent. I'm thinking this is an affiliation of smart young people. And speaking of smart young people, I've asked it before and I'll ask it again. With 360 million people, cannot the Dems find someone under 70 to go to the polls? I mean, it is so aggravating. Young people, there's a pattern of voting. And if young people don't vote when they're 18 to 25, they tend not to ever vote. So if you ignore the newly minted voters, for Democrats, you are throwing away the next 40 years. The Dems have to come to grips with this. If you are going ahead with Joe Biden, blessings Joe, you've got to have the right VP, and I'm not convinced it's Kamala. Anyway, moving on. Now, there's been 4 now indicted. We have the Yeti plus Nauta plus 2. I'm not going to read on them specifically. I'm going to go to Meta and Microsoft because Elon Musk, right, changed Twitter to X. The problem for him is it's like a creche for billionaires, isn't it, this stuff? Anyway, Meta, Zuckerberg, and Microsoft, whoever runs Microsoft, actually have I'm having a seniors moment myself, viewers. This is a karmic punishment for what I was saying about the gerontocracy. Intellectual property is the phrase I was looking for, over the letter X. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at what this moving to X means for Elon and the other big boys. Twitter now X. How's that going to go? Ooh. Oh, what fell out? The 8 of Pentacles. I have to keep that. Okay. Well, look, with Elon, with this Eight of Pentacles, this is practicing your craft, getting better until you're a master at what you do. He's come in at this top level of this sort of platform, not knowing anything about it. His thing is, well, he's got lots of other things, but none of them were like this. So it's like he didn't know how to play the game. And because he's convinced he's invincible, it didn't occur to him that it might actually be a dud idea. Okay. I think the other mob, I think Zuckerberg and Microsoft are talking. I think they're going to decide one way or another very soon. Will they make life harder for Elon and actually go for it and try and sue him over the X or what? But they're thinking about it and they're talking about it. Elon himself, look, I don't think Elon's drowning in dinner party conversations or things. I think he's out in the cold. I seriously do. Is it just me, intrepid viewers, or is he starting to look a bit mad and depressed? He's not used to failure. It's not that he hasn't failed before. He has, but he's gone to his piggy bank of billions and just gone on to the next shiny thing. This is a global humiliation. This suggests to me he's made huge losses. He's going to continue to make losses. We don't have to feel sorry for Elon because he's a wealthy guy losing money as opposed to one of us as mortals who loses, if we lost 80% of our income, we'd be in dire straits, would we not? He's holding on to it for now. The problem is his personality. He's got a nasty, non-inclusive, very domineering, very intolerant sort of way about him. So it's everyone else's fault but Elon's. And so you wouldn't want to be in his sphere. I think he'd be spitting chips, poker chips. What do we do? Now, okay, I've been asked to read on Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan. She's a beacon on the hill, isn't she? And she's not 116, so that's awesome. I'm sorry if I'm being such about this. Sorry. And I'm not 22 myself, but I think it becomes a time where you get out of the big public jobs and make way for the next gen. No. Okay, I'm going to read on Gretchen, then I'm going to read on Florida and the algae and other things. Okay. Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan. Okay. Did you see during the week, Chris Christie? Now, I wouldn't trust Chris Christie as far as I could throw him, but it's always good when you see someone having a go at the Yeti, isn't it? And he said they're like the Corleones, but they don't know what they're doing. So it is, it's like that. What are we doing? Gretchen, here we go. Now, oh, bless Gretchen. Oh, she's doing fine, guys, for you Michigandans. Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong. What is the term for people of Michigan? Okay, she gets this judgment card as well. It's the first card. It's setting the tone for her reading. And I think she is actually the trumpet player. She just keeps on doing what needs to be done. And she sort of inspires people. Imagine that. Politician with a heart, a brain, who can spit out 2 sentences without abusing everyone else. What a radical persona. Go Gretchen. She's moving and keeping Michigan safer than it would be. I doubt she's perfect, but the bar is so low that she is a paragon. And I think she's doing her best to keep Michigan out of the worst of this stuff. This might be, is she married? Is this her husband? Is this her father? Is this an old boss who's a mentor? There's a man in Gretchen's immediate world who is her go-to. She trusts him implicitly. He gives her very good advice, right? King of Wands, she also gets an Ace of Wands. He's got her back, and she's going to go a long way. She's going to go a long way. Oh, we'll go Gretchen. Now, before I forget, I haven't forgotten Florida yet. The 8th of August, I'll be seeing you before the 8th of August. And I'm sure, as most of you know, just wait till I do some split cards here. 8th of the 8th, very auspicious. It's said to be a portal. So the Chinese numerology system loves 8s. It's a double 8. It's a portal. So have a think between now and then. What do you want to manifest in your life? What do you really want to shift and change and happen? Really think about it. The way I do these sort of things is I tend to kick back with a legal pad or something and scribble, just scribble, you know, bullet point all these ideas, and then pick the best 3 and make them, think about them just on their own and make the simplest, beautiful request to the universe. If you have other techniques, let me know. Pop it in the comments. Oh, also, headline news. When I said on a previous video, I'm going to stop reading around mid-September, I think some of you thought that was going to be forever. No, 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 I couldn't stay away from it. Wild horses couldn't stay away from it forever. No, 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 no. But I am having 6 weeks off from doing readings. I need to freshen up. No, I will be traveling, and there'll be more on that in subsequent videos. So there's a few more spots only. In fact, I'm probably safer to say no more spots from here on in. But I will be back and doing readings again in November. But don't forget, you always come on my trips, guys. You'll know exactly what's happening. Don't worry about that. Now, Florida. Florida's taking up a lot of our headspace because of having DeSantis there, and it's sort of taken on this symbolic status of how to kill American education, how to kill the entire experiment in democracy. And we've got to keep a close eye on Florida. But I have had a lot of requests about the summer, the algae, the heat waves, just the general tone of Florida. Let's have a look. Okay. Well, you know, really, what do I think about this? The moon. Now, I could take the next 90 minutes and tell you a little tiny bit about the moon card, but that's not how this works. So, see with this with the pillars of wisdom, there is the moon. Now, if you look closely, even with my crappy little camera, see the sleeping face in the moon. The moon represents a lunar eclipse, which again is another portal. So maybe watch what happens in Florida on the 8th of the 8th is one thing I would point out. But the other is, I think people have no idea how bad it is behind the scenes. This is keeping things hidden, right? Now, choppy waters, it gets hard to balance. I think it's becoming progressively hard for DeSantis to balance because he's gone so far out on a right-wing tree branch. He's forgotten where the middle even is. And I'm afraid that's where most voters live, in the middle. Ugh. I think he's finding it harder to control the message, to manipulate the message, because he got in with a large majority, but people are worried financially, and I think they're worried on several levels. Oh, I just heard insurance. I'm not surprised. I think people are worried about their businesses. It's harder and harder to insure. Once that financial security goes for the middle class, it's like maybe some snowbirds will revisit the retirement fantasy. Oh, yeah, as soon as we retire, we'll go and live in Florida. I think people are rethinking this. And I think there's going to be a movement. It's already started out of Florida. Now, short term, it doesn't matter. Like, I come from a redneck state. I know how rednecks think. And part of it is if anyone leaves, you go, good, we didn't want them anyway. Those liberals, those lefties. So don't be fooled by that. This is economic stuff, right? Two of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, news about money not going well. So this is about real estate. I believe there's going to be a great deal of conflict, both in the community and behind the scenes. We know that DeSantis has just sacked just about everybody. So I don't think he's quite sure how to move forward. I'm just going to pull another couple of cards expressly on weather stuff. Florida and weather. Florida and weather. Oh, wow. Sorry, I didn't bring the screen down. Look at these. The Wheel of Fortune. You know, what goes around comes around. Justice. What goes around comes around. Interesting. And not quite prepared. Got this earlier. Not quite prepared for what is happening. So I don't know if that's a hurricane or red algae. Weather isn't my forte. But I think these are big cards. And ignore the environment at your peril. And I don't think things are going to change in terms of creating the green economy we need in Australia, everywhere else. The sewerage in the UK river systems, we're bleaching our biggest coral reef in the world, the Great Barrier, you know, we're still in these filthy fossil fuel mentality. It's not till people start suing for this that I think governments will start changing their behaviour. So when I see these together, I'm thinking some sort of class action in Florida or beyond, saying no more. It is your lack of action that caused this. We are suing the government for not protecting us in some way. I think there'll be something legal. Keep an eye out for that. All right, guys. I'll be back in a blink. So bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Bye.